end the shutdown. Our next guest was in that White House meeting with the president last evening, Washington Congressman Greg Walden. He's chairman of the National Republican Congressional Committee. So can you bring us any good news out of that meeting, Congressman?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think it was a productive meeting. Both sides had an opportunity to talk about the issues. We spent more than an hour and a half. It was just good to finally sit down with the president and have face-to-face discussions that hopefully are leading to some productive negotiations. The president didn't say yes, he didn't say no, but the talks continued into the night and I think are resuming today. And hopefully we'll make progress that will reopen the government, that will lead to a serious budget negotiation about the big spending issues that the country faces for the long term. There are really three pieces to this. One is getting the government back up and running with some changes, with some controls on spending, but then moving toward the big budget issues, and so we don't have this huge deficit continue to just eclipse itself every year, $600–700 billion, $1 trillion every year. That has to stop, and that's what this fight is really all about. Getting government back into the box, getting the budget balanced eventually, and getting our debt behind us.
Well, you say that's what the fight is all about, but do you think that's being lost on the American people? I mean, according to the latest polls, and we have some of them for you, the latest Wall Street Journal poll shows Republicans are really taking a pounding. Only 24% of those responding have a positive view of the Republican Party. 53% say they have a negative view. What do you think?
Well, it's hard to get your message out sometimes, but I'll tell you what, we're fighting for the right cause and the right reason, and we're negotiating. We're the ones who went to the White House finally after the president had drawn the line in the sand time and again and said, can't we sit down and talk about this? You know, I don't know about you. And in my married life, if I'd told my wife, I'm not talking to you, I'm not talking about this issue, and I'm not going to negotiate, things wouldn't go well. Yeah. We shouldn't have ended up in a shutdown of the government just to get to the point where you can sit down and talk about how to resolve the country's big spending problems and our big deficit problems. Now in those discussions, so I'm optimistic that we're going to see some progress. Nothing's for certain yet.
Well, you said the president didn't say yes, didn't say no. The White House has been careful not to describe your meeting as a negotiation, but is there some horse trading going on?
It was a conversation that we hope will lead to productive negotiation. And so I think there was a meeting of the minds, a better understanding. We met the president halfway. We came with an offer to get us past this debt ceiling crisis, get the government back up and running. We're just saying, but we need a good faith understanding that we will negotiate in good faith between now and the next 6 weeks to get a big budget agreement together that will get us off this horrible position we've been on with deficits just to keep racking up and racking up. Let's get focused on growing jobs in America, getting the economy going again, stop living by this crisis-to-crisis budgeting in Washington. We need a long-term solution here that works for the country so we can focus on growing jobs in the country.
But both of these events, the government shutdown and the potential lifting of the debt ceiling, that's where Republicans are thought to have had their leverage. If you just extend it all out without any concessions from the White House, what's to prevent us?
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that, though. See, this is an offer that predicated on serious negotiations, and it's a limited offer. It only goes out 6 weeks, but it says, let's not have the country go into default. Now that we're finally having a conversation that we hope leads to negotiations, let's try and work this out. We're given some breathing time here, some room to come around the table, and I would tell you that having sat through that hour-plus meeting with the president, the vice president, Secretary Lew, that I walked away thinking there's an opportunity here, and I think all of us in the House Republican leadership that was there felt the same way. We're not overly optimistic, but we're making progress.
I think all Americans are hopeful about your optimism. Congressman Greg Walden, Republican from Washington, thank you.